the experience of this disease in youth and children. This story, when I first discovered what was happening in our family, I must have captured 200 case studies with the same story. Her story is representative of thousands of children in this state. And with that, I'd now like to introduce Michele and Camryn Cacciatore. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. As Julia said, my name is Michele Cacciatore, and I'm an occupational therapist by background with 27 years of clinical experience, and I'm also an adjunct faculty member in the occupational therapy department at Misericordia University. My husband, Don, who's here with us today, is the business manager and co-founder of Crow Rehabilitation Services up in Plains, Pennsylvania, which is where we're from. And we have 3 children. Our oldest daughter, Allison, is 19, and she's a freshman chemistry major at Ursinus College, probably taking a final right now, so she might be just a little more nervous than I am. We have our 15-year-old daughter, Camryn, who's here with us today, and Camryn is a freshman at Holy Redeemer High School, and I'm going to let Camryn tell you her story in her own words. And we also have a 12-year-old son, Dylan, and he is in 6th grade at Wyoming Area Catholic. And I'm here today really to talk a little bit about a mom's perspective, having a child who has been suffering and struggling with chronic Lyme disease for the past 3 years. It was a year before Camryn was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and I had to request that she be tested because I finally started thinking that all of these symptoms of headaches and fatigue and muscle soreness and swollen joints, and perhaps all these dots were connected to one common diagnosis. We were fortunate enough that her test did come back positive, but unfortunately it was a year after she had been infected, and we were prescribed with 30 days of doxycycline, which is the typical course. And it was really just that simple, 30 days. And Camryn began to feel a little better after those 30 days. We certainly saw some improvements. But within about 4 weeks, her symptoms came back, both physically, and then they had begun to advance cognitively, psychologically, just some emotional issues going on. And when I reached back out to the physician who had originally diagnosed and prescribed the doxycycline, I was told that that can happen and that Advil was the course of treatment. Yeah, so that didn't help us a whole heck of a lot. But needless to say, we had been given back the same positive Western blot test, but with this time it had been written in ink that said treated. So, with that, we were to believe that this disease had been taken care of. It had been treated completely with the 30 days of doxycycline. Unfortunately, that is not what it appeared to us with the health of our daughter. So that prompted me to begin looking into some of my own research and information that was available on Lyme disease, and I learned a lot about untreated and undertreated Lyme disease. It most certainly becomes chronic. It affects the brain and the nervous system. It can have significant cognitive and psychological impacts. It can diminish a child's cognitive functioning, their socialization, which can most certainly lead to depression. Early treatment is critical to prevent long-term effects. But when this condition becomes chronic, that's when insurance falls off. The 30 days of doxycycline is simply not enough when this disease has progressed to a chronic state. And you don't have insurance coverage for that. So we eventually began treatment with a practitioner who specializes in tick-borne illnesses, and we began additional testing and found out that Camryn also contracted Babesia and Bartonella, which are 2 co-infections very common from tick-borne illnesses, and they need to be treated as well, and they had not been treated before. Now, I'll tell you, these diagnostic tests that we had run were not covered by our insurance company. So we paid out of pocket for that, but that information, knowing what she was fully infected with, allowed us to develop a far more effective treatment plan for her. How was my daughter going to get better when we weren't even fully treating what was wrong with her in the first place? So that information was critical. This disease, because it was left untreated, then undertreated, has cost Camryn and our family very dearly. Socially, family celebrations, missed school time, constantly working to catch back up and keep up with the class and maintain her social connections at school. Financially, our family has spent over $30,000 to date out of pocket to try to fight this chronic Lyme disease, which is now part of our daily life, part of Camryn's daily life. There have been many system failures and obstacles when we're fighting this disease. First, there was little to no awareness when we know that early diagnosis is critical. When left untreated and undertreated, the impacts are significant on the quality of life, particularly for children, which are our most at-risk group in this state. Second, there's the lack of coverage for accurate diagnostic tests, which are needed to develop accurate, effective treatment plans. It's really that simple. There's also a lack of coverage for the thorough treatment needed to fight chronic Lyme disease, which so often occurs. The financial barriers can be overwhelming for families, and they can often lead to a situation where treatment is just completely unaffordable. You cannot get the treatment that you need. We're here today because we know that we all need to come together to speak up for change. We have to advocate to protect the health and well-being of our youth. No child should have to suffer, and no parent should have to see their child suffer and be in a situation where you have to make the kinds of financial choices to get your child healthy. We still have a long journey ahead of us, and we're very proud of Camryn in her fight, and she's accomplished a great deal. But you know, today our legislators have the opportunity to make a difference, to rewrite the story of a child like Camryn and so many other children in our state. We're asking for support for Senate Bill 100 and House Bill 174 so that the necessary diagnostic tests and treatment can be covered by insurance, so we can keep our children healthy and productive and achieving all of their dreams. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Camryn Cassatori, and I'm a 15-year-old freshman honors student at Holy Redeemer High School. I have chronic Lyme disease. I was bit by a tick when I was 12 years old. I remember the bullseye rash on my ankle, but never told my parents because I didn't think it meant anything. I got sick after that with fatigue, headaches, muscle aches, and even cellulitis in my leg. I did not get diagnosed or treated for more than a year after my tick bite, and as a result, I have chronic health issues. It has not been easy fighting this disease for the past 3 years, especially because not many people understand what I am going through. I missed a lot of school this year, family celebrations, and my entire freshman basketball season. Some days are easier than others to push through school and tennis and social situations, but then I'm usually exhausted. I am grateful for the good care I get now and the support of my family. I know that it has not been easy on my family. My parents have missed work to take me to multiple medical appointments, often out of town. I also know it is expensive because some of my tests and treatment have not been paid for by insurance. I have a lot of goals for myself, and I don't intend to give up. I want to be healthy enough to go to school every day, all day, and play tennis and basketball, and spend time with my friends. I am willing to fight for the life I want, despite my Lyme disease, but we need available insurance, covered healthcare, so I can accomplish all of this. I am asking the legislators in this state to help me succeed in my future by passing legislation for my needed treatment to be covered by insurance. I won't give up, but I can't do it alone. My family and friends are with me, and now I am asking our state leaders to support me and everyone who is fighting for a better, healthier life. Please support Senate Bill 100 and House Bill 174. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Camryn and Michele, for a very compelling story. We have one last patient story, and Amber